It's time for the Douglas Coleman Show. Mr. Smooth and Savvy is joined by guests from all walks of life, from the entertainment industry to authors to political and social commentators, the famous and not so famous, the controversial and the light and fluffy. We have it all. Now, here's Douglas Coleman.
Okay, please welcome back to the Douglas Coleman Show, William Joseph Hill. Hey, William, welcome back.
Hi, Douglas. It's so good to be back.
Well, nice to have you back. As we were just talking about, you've got a book out that we discussed last time. Do you remember when you were on last time?
It was about a year ago. I believe it was probably in April or May. The year just went by so quickly. It's hard to remember the exact month.
Okay, and the book is called Cyber Fighter. And
yes.
Now, this is a full-length novel, right? Cyber Fighter?
Yeah, it's a full-length novel. It's based on a feature screenplay. So whereas like a lot of novels can be like 400, sometimes 600 pages, this is more like just under 300 pages because the structure is almost like the three-act film structure because I had actually adapted it from the full-length feature screenplay.
Did you wrote the screenplay first?
Yes, it started as a screenplay, and through all the years of trying to like, hey, let's make this movie, at some point, and this is like right before the pandemic, I had the idea of, well, why don't I release the novelization first? Because ironically enough, George Lucas had released Star Wars. The novelization was ghostwritten by Alan Dean Foster back in 1976 while the film was still in post-production. Of course, we're still in development with the feature, but I kind of thought, why don't I try that, see how that works?
Well, what's the ultimate goal here? To get the movie done or to sell the book?
It's both. It's kind of like the ultimate goal is almost to create my own intellectual property type of franchise between books and then comic books, because I also had done a comic adaptation based on a shorter film script of that, and to see where it goes. I mean, it's either a series of films, because right now I'm also working on writing the sequel to the book. So the book is I'm already working on the sequel for that. I envision it as a trilogy ultimately, but I mean, it could be expanded into something like James Bond or whatnot too.
Okay. Well, on your bio, the description says best described as The Matrix meets John Wick minus Keanu Reeves. Well, since he was so prominent in both of those films, I'm having trouble picturing what that would be like. Why don't you elaborate that a little bit?
Yeah, I guess it should be more effective to say with me replacing him, just because it's kind of like he's not in Cyber Fighter, but he's such a big part of those two movies, and I really love his performance. And his commitment to action is amazing. Like, a lot of people are starting to, give him a lot of props for his immersion into actually being able to perform most of those stunts. It's almost like Tom Cruise without all those high flying, he's not hanging off of an airplane, but he is doing his own MMA. So and gunplay as well. So yeah.
Okay. How difficult was it to go from a screenplay to a book? Because many books have gone and become screenplays. I suppose it's just the process of either adding words or subtracting words, right?
Yeah, I find it to be easier to go from a screenplay to a book because it's just adding words, and you're able to add to what it is and go into the characters' heads, and you can actually talk about what they're thinking, or you can talk about things that you just can't show on screen. Whereas adapting a book to a screenplay, or even for example, like what they did with Game of Thrones, like trying to take all of those books and turning it into a TV show, you have to eliminate characters, you have to combine characters, you have to do so much just to make it fit. So for me, to make it more literary, you're able to open up as opposed to making cuts. So to me, that was easier.
It says actor, director, writer. Are you on strike?
Technically, yes. In fact, for anything that's studio related, we are on strike. But the indie productions, especially short films, and there's other contracts like certain types of dubbing contracts, or definitely commercials, or of course, live theater is not. That's exempt as well. But there are ways that actors are still able to work. But the main bread and butter that pays most of your rent with studio stuff, that's definitely we are definitely on strike with that.
Okay, is this what you do? I mean, do you have another job?
Yeah, I think as a content creator, you kind of have to have other day jobs to kind of like pay the bills when things are scarce. I mean, a lot of actors they'll drive Uber. I do a lot of like admin work. I'm also work is like I do editing. I do like a lot of content creation, video editing. So I kind of like know how to do everything from development to almost practically exhibition when it comes to like films, just because I've had my hand in so many temp jobs throughout the years that I'm able to like support myself when things are slim.
How do you feel about the strike, since it's relevant, and we'll get this interview out shortly? So I just want you to comment on that, if you would.
Yeah, I mean, as a union member, I totally, definitely, I stand with the writers and of course with my own union on this. It's a very important issue, and it to me, there's a lot of talk about what it's really about, and to me, what it really is about, it's about being able to hold the people that have all of the money and the power, hold them kind of like, hold them to a standard that the industry has completely changed. I mean, streaming has rendered everything upside down now. And so we really need to figure out what the most equitable and fair way to compensate artists is going forward. And we can't just rely on, old formulas that are 40, 50 years old. We need to completely work this out. And my understanding was that with the union negotiations, it was promising at first, but there really was no movement on the AMPTP. I mean, they wanted to drag it on. We extended it as a courtesy, and I think it's been said, and don't know how true it is, but the evidence seems to be this way. They did that so that they could get some of their summer promotions out, because once we went on strike, nobody could promote anything. So it almost looks like they deliberately did that as a trick. So I totally can see how that feels. So yeah, there's a lot of emotions with it. It's kind of tricky to try to have a level head and to try to look at this objectively when you're part of it. So it's hard. It's hard right now.
Well, I kind of have two schools of thought on this, and I haven't decided to take sides. I sort of say, well, I can see both sides of this coin, less from the studio executive side, though, because when I looked at this one example, I think it's the Disney CEO, whose salary last year was $250 million. It's hard for me to feel sorry for them, okay? Yeah. And that's the old labor versus management that could apply to any union. The guys at the top are getting fat and the ones at the bottom are starving. That's an old story. And I'm always rooting for the worker, the working class. However, the other side of this for me is that as a content creator and as a creative person, musician, songwriter, etc., we're lucky to get paid anything in this business because it's so competitive and there's so many people out there doing it. So the idea that someone has a steady paycheck to do what they love to do, I think is a blessing.
Yes.
And so it's sort of like, well, okay, I understand your complaint, but for every one of you, there's 300 out there that are starving, making nothing, right? Who would happily take your job for whatever it is that you're getting paid currently.
Yeah.
So that's where I am, and I still don't know which way I go with this thing.
It's an interesting point that you put up, because this is I'm starting to like get this message out there. So as an independent content creator myself, like my wife and I, we also have a web series on YouTube called That Darn Girlfriend. It's like a sitcom, but we produce it ourselves for virtually nothing, and we put it on our YouTube channel. And it's really hard to compete with PR against, the Marvel machine and all of the big Disney, plus all over the place, like watch this new. But now there's a strike, and now there's no promotion. And now, for the first time in history, in my entire lifetime, you have independent people who are making their own stuff that are now going to be listened to, because the consumers, they They're not going to be distracted by, John Wick Part 6 or anything else that's not, that can't come out yet. So,
well, that's a good point. While the
exciting for me.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm happy. I happen to be launching a crowdfunding campaign very shortly. So either the timing couldn't be worse or couldn't be better. Who knows? It depends.
Well, this was one of the things that when we launched our video edition show that I thought of. And you mentioned something about part of the strike is that they have these sort of 40 and 50-year-old policies that are antiquated now because of streaming and because of digital has turned everything upside down. This was one of the things that I did with the video show, is because in terms of traditional sponsorship for podcasts or radio shows, TV shows, there is so much content out there that the sponsorship dollars are so few and far between that it is absolutely or nearly impossible to get good sponsorship for any kind of a podcast, with the exception of very specific niche type podcasts or YouTube video creation. For example, I know this one guy who does camping videos, and in lieu of cash, he gets like free camping equipment from the companies that manufacture it, and he makes videos demonstrating, this cool pop-up tent and these little cookers and things. And okay, that's fine, but he's not getting any money from them. He's just getting the stuff to advertise, to sort of, the props for his films, basically, his videos.
Yeah.
So when we launched the VE show, my attitude was, look, this is unconventional, but I think we have to think this way. So we charge a production fee, because what we're doing is we're cutting out the middleman. The PR people essentially do nothing more than link the author to the show, and they take a cut in the middle. So our idea was, okay, why don't we just charge, $50 to come on the show? We'll put the video together for you. You can take the video, you can use it. We'll send you the MP4. Part of the fee is a licensing fee because our show is copyrighted. We're giving you permission to use the show wherever you want to use it. And we make a nice little video for you that you can take and use as an advertising tool for your book. So that was our idea. Now, we got a lot of resistance to it when PR companies said, well, we don't pay for interviews. I said, well, you're not really paying for the interview. You're paying for the video. And it was kind of a hard sell, but now, 3 years later, we've got 6 or 7 PR companies that have been with us since the beginning who send us regular clients. For them, it's a positive because they don't have to shop the client. They don't have to try to get podcasts interested in interviewing their client. They've got sort of reserved time slots on our show. They pay every month.
Yes.
And they'll take like 4 time slots for $200 a month. They've got those slots, and then they'll just contact us and say, okay, we've got Joe here for Monday, and we've got Sally here for Tuesday, and blah, blah, blah. And we say, great, okay. And I've only turned down 1 out of probably 600 shows. And the reason was just because of the subject matter was so off the wall. I said, if we do this, we'll probably get, kicked off of YouTube. So I refused that one. But everything else has gone through. And, this way it pays for us. It pays for the show.
Yeah.
And, we don't have to worry so much about trying to find sponsorship. So I get that when you said this sort of antiquated 50-year-old policies where before streaming, there was much more control over copyrighted material.
Oh, yeah. You had, it's funny because on the one hand, you have these big multimedia, multi-international media conglomerates that control most of the product, except for the fact that they control most of the product that has the lion's share of the money. But there's this underground indie culture that's been going on forever I've pretty much most of my acting career has been in independent film. And so, I've always worked, but, you've always, in independent film, you usually have to you have to have a day job, and you have to have a day job that's flexible enough to let you off because I need to be shooting 2 weeks here on this set here, and I need to either be able to do my job late at night. So that's why I used to do payroll accounting for the studio, so I could process everybody's payments on these big A-list shows. So I've seen where the money is doing payroll, and I've also worked in the indie world, and it's the technology has become so affordable now that, when they say you can shoot a movie on your iPhone, you literally can do that. Yeah. You could shoot a feature on the iPhone. And so, and kind of like what you've done with your business, it's you've been able to find a way to thrive. Because I subscribe to your channel and I watch a lot of your stuff. It's great, these interviews, and it's a way authors can authors and other influencers can get their message out there. So it's a win-win, but in a way it's now this strike has now opened up a hunger, because in about a month, I predict people are going to be there's nothing to watch, there's nothing to look for. And it's there's the indie world. And so we're trying to get that message out that look to independent art.
Okay. Specifically the writers and now the actors, what are they looking for? More control, more money, both? Well,
there's two tiers to this conflict. Is partially, with the money, it has to do with fair compensation. What is fair compensation? The writers, I'm not too familiar with all of the writers' demands because I'm not part of Writers Guild, but I am a SAG actor. So I suspect that there's a lot of commonality in this, but partially has to do with, in regards to residuals, we want to know what are the numbers? How successful is a show? And if the show is really successful and it's got a lot of viewership and it's making a lot of money in advertising revenue or whatever, because all these streamers are now starting to run ads, maybe there should be more residuals instead of the $4 a month you might get because the things run unlimited.
Yeah.
The studios, the streamers, they don't want to share those numbers. So that's one of the conflicts. And then the others in regards to AI, artificial intelligence, these tools have been here for a long time. It's just now that they've become more in the forefront. There was recently, SAG was talking about how, as a background performer, there's a lot of people that actually earn their living doing background work. They work as extras and they just book show after show after show. But, they're saying now they're offering you to come and get yourself scanned for one day, and then they can just digitally replace you so that you're not, they don't need you anymore. Well, that's probably, I would say, a few years into the future, whether that's because there's a lot of technical reasons as to why that's too hard to do right now. But I believe it's proper for them to definitely fight against that, because at somewhere down the line, it will be, the computer processing speed will be fast enough where you'll be able to literally probably easily do it. But right now there's a lot of rotoscoping work to be able to do that. So it's the AI issue. I'm sorry, what?
I was just going to say, even if that becomes a reality where they can just scan you, you would still be entitled to compensation for them using your likeness.
Yeah, you would. And they're saying they were in the offer that the AMPTP had for that, there was no, there was just a one-time fee. And
one-time pay? Okay.
Ridiculous.
No, yeah, I don't think so, because it's similar to writing a song. Even if somebody else covers it, you would still technically get paid. It's your song, unless you specify a one-time fee, which would be stupid on the part of the songwriter. Not to say songwriters haven't. There's been many songwriters that made really lousy deals because they were starving to death. But okay. Well, it is a scary proposition. I tell you one thing that I would be completely on board with is for them to revamp the streaming payouts on the monetization, because not only is it the best kept secret at YouTube, it's phenomenally low. And I know from my own channel what we get. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's in the, tenths of a penny kind of place. And
yes, totally understand that. Yeah. On our end as well. Yes.
Yeah. So if that can change, so much the better. Okay.
And
Well, listen, we're kind of running down on time, and I want to get back to your campaign. So, well, good luck with the strike, and it's something I'm watching with
yeah, thank you.
with a lot of interest. So now you've got at this point you're trying to make a short film for Cyberfighter, right?
Yes, that is
okay.
correct.
And you've started a Indiegogo or something?
Yes, we're about to launch, and in fact, depending on when this airs, it's either going to be live or it's just about ready to launch an Indiegogo campaign for the short film, which is taken from the feature. So it's like I took the basic storyline, and I want to do a proof of concept to prove, not only the concept, but a lot of the technology that we're going to be doing with virtual sets. With action, got a really good fight choreographer on board. We're gonna have some really cool fight scenes, and to demo me in the role, so that it's kind of like, this is the vision that we have for this project. So
you want to sell
really
it as a whole package. In other words, you don't want to just sell the script and then they put somebody else in as the lead.
No, not at all. Yeah.
Is this something usual? I mean, this sounds kind of unique, that you're going to try to sell the whole package to somebody.
Well, I know Sylvester Stallone did it about 50 years ago with Rocky, but so it's a little bit more.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true.
More, it's easier to pull off now because I'm, with the technology, and a lot of the technology that we're using is, anybody can actually do this now. There's really no barrier to entry, and it's just a matter of have you worked with it enough to where you can pull it off? And so I've done so much testing with the visual effects and stuff that we're really excited. A lot of it looks really good. My wife Pamela is going to be the female lead in the short. So, and a lot of my cast that I've already reached out to, that I want to, once they commit to it. And we're doing this under a short project or a micro budget agreement. So those are perfectly okay. They are not affected by the strike. These are two contracts that the union has said is okay to work under. So we are not crossing any picket lines with that. But
okay.
Yeah, I'm doing all the visual effects myself, and a lot of the post-production work myself too. So it's kind of like it's almost like it's an auteur type of thing, but not because of any ego, but because of I need to save money. So the more jobs I can do, the less I have to pay out.
Oh, well, listen, I appreciate that. When I do the video show, I mean, I run all the cameras and the tech all myself. I'm the only one in the studio. So I switch everything on, sit down in the chair, and go.
Yeah. It's like my wife and I with our web series. It's like we don't have anybody in the crew. Like, we do all the things ourselves. So if there's a two-shot, my joke is like, our DP's name is Sticks. So anybody who understands tripod humor gets that.
Yeah, I get that, definitely. Or three-leg or something like that, right?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah. Let me get back to the Indiegogo, because I've seen a lot of people do that to raise money to make their films or whatever they're doing. Is that viable? I mean, is it successful aside from, hitting up your parents and your friends? I mean, do actually strangers come and put money into your pocket for this?
Well, this is my first campaign, so I can't fully 100% say that this is going to happen, but I've studied a lot of successes and a lot of failures, especially when it comes to film, and what a lot of campaigns do correct and what a lot of campaigns do wrong. Part of it is building the audience before you launch. So I've done so much outreach. I've been working on this campaign, believe it or not, since before the pandemic. Like, I was going to launch it at some point in 2020. The pandemic kind of shut all that down. So that allowed me to kind of go back to the drawing board and really, really determine who are my targets, what was I going for, and a lot of the perks, like with Indiegogo, a lot of the rewards are called perks. So one thing that a lot of campaigns do is they have DVDs, they have T-shirts, they have merchandise, which costs money to make and manufacture. And if you've got 1,000 people who want a signed, poster, you got to produce those and you got to ship them. And so what I've done is I looked at okay, well, what do I love about movies? And a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, I would always go to the library and I would check out the books of the art of The Matrix or the art of The Empire Strikes Back or the story of the making, and would have the production art and all this thing. So I've created digital books that will be available. So it's basically, you just download it. You don't have to wait for it to come in Amazon. You just click on the link and you can download it. And, those will be completed when the film is in the can, because there's a lot of content that I have to add that's going to be during production. That'll be really exciting to add to it. But my production art, because I've been working on this for the short film idea for several years now. So I've got years of backlog artwork. I'm doing digital trading cards. So if you remember, as a kid, the Star Wars had Star Wars cards. They had the green backs or the orange backs or the red backs. And I'm like, I'm doing my own version of that. And it's definitely inspired by that. So, and it's all digital. So, there's no bubble gum and no wrapper. So you just have to just download the JPEGs, but you will have them. And I think it's just like, to me, I think that's kind of cool. Also, like in regards to script, like a lot of aspiring writers out there want to know, what's a shooting script? How many versions is a shooting script going to go through? I've had several drafts with my red pen, handwritten, all on it, that I went in and I've scanned them. Early drafts from years ago, when I had access to a color scanner, I was like, let me scan those. That'll be like a reward. And then when the eventual shooting script, because even now I'm doing another revision on the shooting script. So that'll be the production script, So it'll be interesting to, like, if you love film, if you love filmmaking, and you love about like the process that a film goes through from inception to, being on screen, I think what I'm offering will be really fun and interesting. I'm also doing a behind the scenes video diary. So it'll be like a little documentary done like, vlog style, and showing and going through the entire process. So when we do go into production, you'll see all of the triumphs and the tribulations, the heartaches and the happy. So you get to see the whole roller coaster that making a movie is all about.
All right. Has the campaign been launched already? Is it going?
We were going to launch, but we decided, because the timing was, the strike hit, the SAG just went out on strike. The strike was supposed to happen at probably the beginning of the month, but they delayed it. And so it was about to, so that dominated a lot of the news. And with a lot of raw emotions, we didn't really feel like it was appropriate to go, hey, we want money for this. And people would be like, wait, how can you be making money? You're an act. But I think now people are starting to understand the different contracts. And I've been seeing on social media a lot of people like Mark Ruffalo, who's been supporting, hey, what if we all went indie? And so I think right now is a tremendous opportunity. In fact, I'm talking with my producer about like setting a date. So I won't really mention a hard date yet because we don't, but depending on when this episode airs, it may or may not be live. But the link, at the very least, if it's not officially live, you'll be able to go see a preview, and you'll be able to, sign up with your email address so that you can be, and you can get the announcement. But then I'm going to blast it all over social media once we go live.
Okay. You want to mention how much you're looking to raise?
Sure. So for production, we want to raise a minimum of $20,000, which is, in Hollywood standards, that's nothing,
cheap.
But in real life standards, that's a lot. I understand that. That's definitely a lot. So we appreciate just any contributions or any kind of, it all, but we have to raise at least that, because if I get less than that, I won't be able to deliver the movie that people would deserve to see. It would be not of the best quality. So I figured this out because, the platform does take its fee. And so I wouldn't get all of that $20,000. But at that point, I would be able to deliver a movie that is of really good quality, a really cool short, something fun and entertaining. And, definitely people that contribute to it, at a very minimum level will at least get the download. So, and this is going to go into festivals and things, and we're going to try to sell the feature with it, to use that. So, it's, and we have what are known as stretch goals. So like, if we hit that milestone, we have other milestones that allow us to expand. And I on the campaign page, it'll explain that, but once it's live, you'll have access to that. But like I said, if it's not live, please just send in your sign up with your email, and you will be alerted as soon as we go live.
Well, I think on that, we got to wind this down. Thanks so much for coming on. My guest is William Joseph Hill, and the film / novel / short story / is franchise is called Cyber Fighter, and we will put the Indiegogo link in the show notes so people can check that out. Best of luck with this. I hope this has been going on for a while. When did you write the first draft of this idea?
Oh my God! Believe it or not, the first draft of this entire idea goes back to 1999.
So it's
shortly,
been
the summer that The Matrix came out and Star Wars Episode 1 came out, I was like, I want to do a martial arts movie, and that was the idea.
So this
it's
is
evolved over the past
going on 25 years already. Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Okay, well, I hope this thing comes to fruition for you. And,
thank you.
Keep us in the loop because I'm curious to see what happens. And, send us your promos, send us your PRs, whatever you do, keep us on your email list.
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate it. I mean, I think we follow each other on Facebook and LinkedIn, so you'll definitely be seeing stuff populating your feed.
All right, William. Take care. Nice talking to you. Best of luck.
Thanks. Nice talking to you. Take care, Doug. Bye-bye.